All right, the Zoom robot told me it's being recorded, so it sounds like we're good. And I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started here. All righty, so, well, here immediately, I just wanted to show you the device compatibility for Bongo. So I saw in the email thread that you guys had that you wanted to know if students would be able to use their phones and then upload their videos from their phones to the Moodle assignment, the Bongo assignment. And that is true. If they have like an Android, they can definitely do it. If they have an iPhone or iPad, they can also do it. So it shouldn't be an issue. Though if students are using these Bongo assignments and they're having issues, definitely send them to the help desk. We will help them out because there are little kind of quirks, such as like this little thing for an Android device, or maybe even for this iPad. But again, that's kind of the help desk. So if you aren't sure how to help them, send them our way and we will get them going. It should be largely hassle-free, but you never know. Sometimes technology and internet do not talk to each other. So all that being said, I'm going to go to Moodle. And if you guys haven't been in Moodle before, the best and easiest way to go is actually through the Marywood homepage. So marywood.edu, and once you're on the homepage, down at the bottom, there should be Moodle, though I have my little toolbar in the way, but Moodle should be right here. Usually I bookmark these types of links just so I don't have to find them again, or if you want to type in marywood.edu/Moodle, that'll bring you there as well. So something easy to keep in mind. And when you sign in, it's just going to be your Marywood portal information. So if you've been here a while like me, it's the 4 letters and the 2 numbers. If you're a recent hire, then it's your first initial last name, some combination of that. But it should be the same as Marywood U. So if you're not able to get in, then try logging into Marywood U. And if you get in, then it's something with Moodle. But you should be fine. Marywood U portal credentials. So once you click login, we get to our homepage. And the best way to go about finding your courses is this dashboard icon right here. So if we click on that, it brings us to your recently accessed courses. So anything you clicked on recently, if you've been in Moodle, or your course overview, which most people go to. So you'll notice here on course overview that there is a filter button. And if you change that to in progress, all of your fall courses will show up. So I'm going to be using this Bongo Testing Grounds course, but you'll see all of your courses for the fall right here. And you'll notice too that there is one for all. So if you're looking at a past course for some reason, or once we get into the time period where we can work on the spring courses, those would be in the all or future sections. But for the fall, we're talking about in progress. So I'm going to click on Bongo Testing Grounds and open that up. So if you've ever been in your course before, maybe you have some content, but if you don't, this is what it looks like. It's completely blank. It has your weeks kind of separated out, though yours will start in August because you have normal courses. I started mine today because I just made this course today. So don't pay attention to my course weeks, they're kind of off. But every course has this course announcements forum, and that's pretty much it. So if we're wanting to set up a Bongo assignment, we will click on this edit icon. It's right at the top of your course. It's a green pencil. And once you click on it, it gives you a bunch of editing buttons and this all-important add an activity or resource button. That's where you need to click on to get your Bongo assignment started. So in general, you just go to the week you want to add your assignment and then click add an activity or resource. And if you put it in the wrong week at first, that's fine. You can always change it around, drag it up and down. So in general, I say to go to the right week, but if you end up having to move it, it's not a big deal. So I'm going to add an activity or resource, and Bongo is number 3. So it has this like green cloud with an upward arrow. And if you don't see the add button initially, that's fine. You can just double click on this and it opens up the next part, which is the settings page. And this for Bongo is super simple because all you need to do is just name it, and then you'll have to do the Bongo setup in a separate step. So once you add your Bongo, you get to put a name on it so that it shows on the course page with a specific name. So if I wanted to do like example lesson number 1 for some reason, I could put that in there, and that's pretty much all you need to do. The default settings make sure that the students can see it, so you don't have to worry about making sure that it's not hidden. It'll be visible by default, and then you can just click Save and Return to Course. So now we have this nice little blue circle with a B in the center, and that's our Bongo assignment. But we didn't do anything to it yet, so what we need to do is click on example lesson number 1, or whatever you name it, and it'll open up Bongo in a separate tab. And now, because I've set up Bongo for the very first time, and this is probably what you'll see too, we have to create our class. So Bongo needs to recognize our course as something that it can connect to. So it's going to be the case where you're just going to click New here because it's a new course. You've never done Bongo in this course before. And this is only something you have to do once. So once you do this the first time in your course, that's it. You don't have to do this class creation every time. Just if you put Bongo in another course, then you have to do it again. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I'll click on New, click Next, and then this is very important. This is the deep linking question. And you don't have to think about it too much. It's just that you should reply yes. And it's essentially just to connect Bongo to your course. So if you say no, you'll still have Bongo. It's just that we'll have to submit a ticket and then, you know, it'll get connected that way. But always say yes to deep linking. It's nothing bad. It's just to connect the course to Bongo. So I'll click yes on that. And just like the course creation, it'll never ask me that again for this course, so you don't have to worry about it. But, pardon me, every Bongo activity after the first one is going to look like this. It's always going to ask you if you want an assignment or a meeting every time you click on it. So we're going to say new assignment, because that's what we're going to set up today. There are 4 different types, but suffice it to say the type we're going to be using for your purposes today is individual project. And that's just to say that an individual submits their own project, and that's pretty much it. There is a group project as well. There is a Q&A sort of forum type thing, and then an interactive video, but we're just going to look at individual project. So I'm going to give that a click. And this is where the meat and potatoes of our assignment is. It's all right here. Once we click through all of those pesky little questions, we get right here to the activity setup. So you'll notice at the very top, this assignment name is carried over from the name in Moodle. So whatever you named it in Moodle, it's going to be named here as well. So if you ever want to change that name, I recommend changing it in both places so it's not confusing for students if they click on one name and then see another one when they open up the Bongo assignment. So this is the same as it is in Moodle. You have the option to put in due dates and due times, and all you have to do for that is just click on the field and it gives you a nifty little calendar picker. So if I want this due on the 15th, a good week from now, I can just click 15 or cycle through the months if it's due later and click OK. And then the due time defaults to midnight, I believe. So you can change that to whatever you want. Sometimes it's 11:59. And this thing is a little strange, I will say, because you have to do the hour and the minutes separately with this little clock icon. So if I wanted to do 11:59, I click here first and then drag this to 11, click here, drag it to 59, and then change that to PM. So it's just, it's a little funny, but we got there, and it still said 11:58, but it's fine. We all understand what's going on. So after the due date and due time, there's the evaluation type. So we have a couple options here, and you just click on it to bring up the options. We have percentage, which is just, you know, your 0 to 100%, did they complete it? We also have auto analysis, which I haven't used as a grading type before. I think it just kind of monitors their speech and goes into whether they say ums or things like that, like filler words. But I don't know if you want to use that as a grading, you know, evaluator. There is auto analysis down here that you can enable separately. It's specific to Bongo. But we have percentage, there's also rubric, and you can set up your own rubric within Bongo if you would like to do that. There's pass fail, so if they do it, they pass. If they don't, they fail. And then auto pass for just kind of clicking on it. it's just auto pass. So usually people do percentage or rubric. Do you guys know what kind of evaluation you'd like to do? I could show you what a rubric would look like if you would like to see that. Okay, so I'll go over rubric a little bit. So essentially what it is we click on rubric here, and that brings up this little no rubrics available drop down. And that's because we haven't made one yet. And it's fairly simple to make one. So if we click on this kebab menu on the right, the 3 dots, we can say configure rubrics, and then there's a plus button in the bottom right. We click add and then create a rubric. And thankfully this is all recorded because that would take a little bit to kind of remember, because it's a lot of buttons. So again, that would be configure rubrics from that assignment page, this little add button, and then create a rubric. And it brings up this little sort of format to use for the rubrics. I believe along the left side on these rows, you put what your different criteria are. So clarity of word choice or something like that. That would be one of my criteria. Maybe effectiveness of lesson, you know, the broad terms. And then you can kind of describe the different levels in each column. So if you want to say the top level is excellent, and then it's good, fair, and then poor, you could do something like that. If you want to do more than 4 levels, there's these plus buttons. You can just add a new column or delete it with the trash can if you don't want up to 4. Obviously, if you want to add more rows because you don't want just 2 criteria, you can click on the plus button and it adds more rows, and then you can remove one with the trash can again. The most important part probably of this rubric is the points. So you can assign points in general for an excellent version of effectiveness of lesson. So I can say an excellent, you know, criteria done excellently would be 4 points, and then maybe good would be 3, fair is 2, poor is either 1 or 0, something like that. You just kind of put in the numbers there, and you can see the max value adding up at the bottom. And that's just taking the highest level and multiplying it by how many criteria you have. So the max they can get for this is 8, as I currently have it. But as you do in typical rubrics, you can put in descriptions for what an excellent version of clarity of word choice would be. You don't have to put any points if you don't want to, but you can say incredible choice of words or something like that. You know, you can go as detailed or as general as you want. But then once you're done with this rubric, you filled it out, it looks good, you can click on save, after you give it a name, of course. So lesson rubric, I'll call it. And then you can click save, and it will save to your rubrics for this course. So if you are having multiple lessons for this course, you can use this rubric every single time. And once you create it once, you're good. You don't have to do it ever again. You could also notice in this rubric area, there is another kebab menu, and that lets you copy it if you want to make like a revised version of it for like the final lesson plan or something like that. It'll just make a copy of this rubric, and then you can edit it and change things up. You can edit this at any time, you can view it as well, and of course you can delete it too. So once that rubric is made, you can go back to your assignment setup and assign it to the assignment. And the way to do that is just to look up here at the breadcrumb trail and click configure assignment, and we're back where we were before. So you don't have to go to a different tab, like back to your course or anything. It would be up here in the breadcrumb trail in Bongo. So now the next important part about rubrics is to actually assign the rubric you made to the assignment. So we have our evaluation type as rubric, and then next to rubric, we have to actually select it. So now that we've made one, we just click on lesson rubric, and now that'll be assigned to this assignment. And when you go to grade it, that rubric should come up. So just a quick refresher on how to get to the rubric section. You would just make sure you click rubric under evaluation type, and then click on the kebab menu and configure rubrics. And that brings you to that new page where you can create one, and then you come back here and you click on the rubric you want, and now it's assigned, or it will be once we save it. So that's pretty much the general area complete. Does anyone have any questions about anything so far? Okay, this is all recorded too, so you can look back on it and that'll be very nice. So continuing on, the only required step of this assignment in Bongo is the instructions. So you can put in a video for instruction, but you do need text as well. So you can say, watch the video for instructions if you prefer to just talk it out, which you are more than welcome to do. Or you can just type in all your instructions here in the text box and you don't have to worry about the video. So it's completely up to you what you want to do. They would just be able to click a play button on the video to watch it. They'd be able to hear you perfectly. But then the instructions in text form could be whatever you want them to be. So just in case you wanted to use the video, you can click on this icon right here. And if you had one already set up, like you recorded a video of instructions already, you can just click upload video and you can do it from Google Drive or Dropbox or anything like that. Or, as is the case most of the time, you can record a video right here. And you can choose whether to have just your camera or to have your screen as well. So you can actually screen share if you want to show them something they should be looking at or show them instructions for something. So you would just click record video. And it's not going to actually go through with it because I'm using Zoom and my camera is already being used by Zoom. But it usually detects your camera immediately. It detects your microphone as you talk. That's why it says activating recorder. It would listen to hear where the audio is coming from and then kind of find that source and start the recorder for you. And then it'll have a nice big red record button in the middle so you could just start. And I think you have up to 2 hours. Hopefully the instructions wouldn't be 2 hours long, but you have that long. And then there's a stop button somewhere on here as well, and you can review it before you save it to the instructions video. So there is a website that Bongo has where they have like a walkthrough of the video recorder, so I can send that your way if that's helpful. I'll send it in an email afterwards. It might also be nice to send to your students because they will be uploading a video with this very similar player. So I will send that along once the meeting's over so you guys have it as well. And maybe that will help students kind of figure it out too. So that is essentially the instructions section. You just have to put in text, but you can add a video too. And now we move on to the more advanced things such as auto analysis and peer review. And there's also this handy dandy little show advanced down here in the bottom right. But it's not too bad. Even though it says advanced, it's not really that technical. I will talk about auto analysis for a little bit though. It's essentially, it transcribes your video submissions and then you can provide key terms that you hope they mention. And if it hears them mentioning it, I guess it gives them points or at least lets you know that they mentioned a certain word that you define. It lets you know that they mentioned it in their little video submission. And I think it also analyzes how many times they say or so or any filler words like that. And it's optional. You can turn it off if you want just by clicking on the little toggle icon. The gray color means that it's off, but by default it's on. So you can leave that up if you like and determine whether you want the scores of their auto analysis to be shown to them or if you just want to see that. So it's completely up to you. It is on by default, so if you don't want it, make sure to click it off. There's also peer review. So if you wanted them to post their lesson, them teaching their lesson, and you want them to actually look at others and then respond to them, that's what this is referring to. So right now it has a default of 3 required reviews. If you're not planning on doing peer review at all, you can just turn it off, but it is on by default. So if you don't want it, just make sure to turn it off. And you can actually bring the required reviews up to as many as you want. So if you want them to view everyone's lessons, you can just put the number of people in the class. Or if you just want them to look at one, you can bring that down or bring it up to as many as you want. The Show Advanced button is very important because it lets you determine what kind of submissions they're going to be turning in. And I know from the email chain that it's going to be video submissions. So it's important to go to the advanced options to turn off the other 2 submission types. So by default, it lets students submit a video, any files they want, and set up meetings. So if you just want them to do a video of themselves, they can just, submit a video and not worry about anything else. Then you have to click these off. And they're on by default, so they're bright pink to indicate that they're enabled. You just have to click on them and then they turn gray to indicate that they're off. So if you wanted to keep documents on so they can upload their lesson plan or whatever you like, then that's fine, you can leave that on. But I would usually turn off the meetings just because that's essentially like having them set up a Google Meet within Bongo. I mean, it's Bongo's own meeting software, but it's not really relevant for this course or assignment based on what I've read. So I believe either the video option alone or the video and files. It's up to you guys. So it's important to just turn off those other two and keep the video pink to say that it's enabled. The advanced options shows you auto analysis again. There's also the option for reflection questions, and that's turned off by default, but if you wanted to turn it on, you can create a bunch of questions, and this is a reflection for before they actually submit anything. So as soon as they click on the assignment, it's going to prompt them with these questions if you choose to use this feature, and then they'll be able to submit their recording. So they can, or you would add a new question, and it's kind of just whatever you want it to be. It's like, how do you feel about teaching in 2020? Something like that, and then they can respond to it. But it's kind of just an optional thing. You don't need it on, but it is here, and you can get up to 10 questions. So if you want them to do a 10-question reflection before they start, go right ahead. Otherwise, you can just turn it off and pretend it doesn't exist. If you are planning to do peer review, the advanced options gives you a couple more things to look at. You can choose whether they are automatic or manual. So automatic would mean that the system determines which people they're going to review, so you don't have to do anything, and neither does the student. They just finish their submission, and after they are finished, they do the peer review based on what the system has assigned them. So automatic is kind of nice if you want it to just be random. If you want them to select who they peer review, you can click on manual, and then it's up to the student to click which student they want to view the lesson for. There's also the option to allow peer review before submission. So if you want them to see other lessons to see how they went before they submit, you can check this box. Otherwise, you can turn that off. You can have it anonymous for the reviewer. So if they can still choose who they want to review, but they can remain anonymous if you don't really want them to know who's saying what. And then you can do a scoring element for the peer review as well. And you can have them do review types. So you can have them like rate a plan or a lesson plan or something on like a 5-star scale if you want them to actually review it, or with the rubric that was assigned that you put in earlier, they can use that rubric too, or it could just be, they can comment on it, not really influence a score by any means. So we have our number of required reviews here that you can still edit, and then the review type. And now with these advanced options, we can also select a due date. So if you wanted them to peer review, but it's due a couple days after their initial submission, you can do that and just say it's due like the 18th, which would be 3 days after my initial. And then the time as well is here. There's also a rubric self-assessment, which I believe it just gives them the rubric that you assign to the assignment, and they can self-assess based on the rubric you put in there. And then you can kind of go in and give your own assessment as well. But this is only an option if you choose a rubric, so as the evaluation type. Otherwise, it's not available. And then the last thing is deep linking, which again, don't worry about. It's on by default, which just means that when they click on the link in Moodle, it'll bring them to the assignment. So it's a good thing. But that's pretty much the entire setup of the lesson. It can get as detailed or as basic as you want. Are there any questions that I can answer before I save it and show you the student view of things? Okay, just speak up if you have anything, or put it in the chat because I could see that too. But I will save this assignment and show you what the students would see. Oh, I didn't forget to mention, but after you click advanced options, there's this post-submission instructions. So if you want to tell them after they're done submitting that they have to peer review, you can do that here. Or you can just like say, congratulations, you did the first assignment. You can just do like a nice little encouraging video or whatever you like for after they're done submitting. I'm going to click save, and now my assignment is here. This kind of gives you a little overview of what you as the instructor will see when you click on your example lesson or whatever you call it. You will see how many people in your course have viewed it yet. Once they click on it, how many have viewed it. People who are in progress with their submissions, who needs to be evaluated, so who has already submitted. So it kind of gives you a nice little track record of where everyone is at with the assignment. And it's especially nice that it tells you who viewed it, because then you can see who's not really looking at the things, or maybe they're having issues. So you can kind of mitigate that problem before it happens. But this kind of ticks up as people look at things, and then it just gives you a list of your participants under learners. I have no one in this course, but you will see everyone's names under here. So I'm going to click out of here and go back to my course. So when you click on the lesson as an instructor, you will see exactly what I just brought up, but I do want to tell you that if you ever want to edit it, it's pretty simple. You just click on that link, and then up here by overview, there's a little caret facing downwards, and there's a configure button. And that's kind of the catch-all term for edit in Bongo, as you probably noticed from the rubrics button. So once you click configure, it brings you back to that lesson setup. So you can change anything you want at any time, as long as you just go through your Moodle course, click on the link, and then click configure assignment. So I just wanted to show that real quick. But now I'm going to show the student view. So I'm going to click on my name, click switch role to, and then student. And you guys could do this too. This is especially useful for Bongo because it has such varying viewpoints for students and instructors. So at any point you want to make sure your Bongo assignment looks right, you can click up here on your name and change your role to student, and that is only allowed in your own courses. So as long as you're doing it in your own course, you're good. And then once you're done, you just click return to my normal role and you'll be an instructor again. But the benefits of looking as a student is that you can see exactly how it's going to appear, and sometimes that helps me at least troubleshoot with students to see what's going wrong or what they're not understanding. Because now we see, when we're in a student view, we see how many days are left until the assignment is due and what time it's due. We have instructions, so if the video was here, it would be a preview of the video and then a play button in the center, and then our text next to it. You can also see there's a rubric assigned, so I can see the rubric before I start, so I know what's being expected of me. And I have my descriptions here and the different point values for each level, which is pretty cool. And then this is where things get a little muddled for the students. I've noticed it's kind of been an ongoing question. They have to click on the add button here, and then their options are video or combined video. And if you didn't turn off those two tools, the document and the meetings, those would appear here as well. And even if you did leave those up, as long as you told the students to submit a video, that should be enough. So they would click on video, and just like for your instruction video, they have the option to record right here, and I'm pretty sure they can do that from their phones. Or if they uploaded, or sorry, if they pre-recorded a video on their phone, they can then upload it from here as well. So they have both options depending on what's easier for them. So if they've tried to add a video and record it in here and it just hasn't been working, then they can just record it from their camera on their phone, save it into their gallery of photos or whatever it is on their phones, and then upload it. So they have both options. So they would just click record video or upload. But if they click record, you get that same recorder that you would see if you're doing your own instruction video, and it's the same thing. It kind of auto-detects the camera and the microphone, and they can go down to the bottom here to choose the camera and choose the microphone if it's not already choosing it for them. So that's kind of nice. And they get, I think, up to 2 hours. So as long as they are within the 2-hour range, the video should be fine. It'll tell them their audio levels so they can kind of monitor how loud their microphone is or if it's even picking them up. And then it'll actually have a timer at the top so they know how long their video is taking to make. So once that video is done, it actually goes down here, or it stays in the work in progress section because it has to process. And in Bongo, because it's all online, it takes a little bit to process. So I would say up to an hour, hopefully no longer. But once they finish the video, it will stay in here and process, and they don't have to be in the browser as it's doing that. So if they have to close their laptop, go eat dinner or something, it's not going to delete their video by any means. But they do have to come back in here to submit the video. So they have to check back and make sure that the video is ready. And how you know is because of this pink star, and it kind of indicates to the student what they have to do. But when they are looking at their video in the work in progress section, it'll have a nice pink outlined star next to it. When it's still processing, that star will be gray, so they can't click on it. But once it's ready, it'll be pink. They can click it to fill it in, and then it goes down to submissions. So they kind of have to select which video they want. So if they did like multiple recordings, they can click on which one they wanted. It would go down to submission, and then they click submit. And only after that will they be able to do peer review based on what I did in the settings. Because there was one setting that said they can do peer review before submitting, but I didn't click it. So once they were done with the submission, they would be able to peer review as well. So this is kind of just what it looks like from the student side, and I can show you what a finished submission would look like as well. Not in this course, but in a different one. Let me just find it first. I think I'll go back here to Moodle, and it's over here. So I have a finished submission that I've done before. And on the instructor side, I can see that it needs evaluation. I didn't grade it yet. Apparently my auto analysis was 84. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. I'm assuming it's kind of good. But I'm going to switch over to the student view so you can see what that looks like to the student when they're done. So I have my video assignment. I click on it as a student, and I don't have a score yet, so they can come in here and see when they're graded. It told me when I submitted it, and then my submission's right here. So I can look at it whenever I want. I can view my analysis if you left that up. So it looks like this, and it has a transcript. So it was only a 10-second video. I can see how long it was, how many words I said, and what it was, like what time it was analyzed at. I can also see, oh, I lost it. I can also see the submission video itself, and if anyone responded to me. So if I had any peer reviews done on me, then I would see any video responses students had, any text boxes. The peer review, when they are done, it looks like this screen right here as you see it, except because there are no other classmates that I have in this course, I can't really view anybody, but it would have this peer review header, and then it would have a name. So then if it's a manual thing where they can select whoever they want to peer review, they can just click on the drop down. It'll be indicated with like a little downward caret, and then they are able to see all of the students who've already submitted and that they can review. So if they click on a name, it brings up their submission down here in the bottom left, and they can click on the video to view it, and then they can just comment like, great job, and click the little send button, and then I would see it because they reviewed mine, or if I reviewed theirs, it comes up as like a little chat over here on the right. And they could do a video as well. That little video icon is the same as the recorder they used to submit in the first place. So they have that option as well. But does anyone have any questions about anything? If you do, as you're working on it, you can always reach out to me or the help desk, and we can either set up a meeting to go over it, or if you have any questions specifically, I'm happy to answer them. But yeah, go ahead, Roseanne.
So then where is our grading? Is that back in Moodle?
Yeah, actually, it goes through Bongo, but you have to click on the link of your assignment. So I'm going to switch out of the student view on this course just so you could see. Oops. So I'm going to return to my normal role and go back to my video assignment. And once it opens up, we have our evaluation here. I still need to evaluate this person, so I click on them, and then I get to view their video right here. I can see who commented on things. So if there's other students peer reviewing, I could see those. And then you can comment as well. So you just kind of click on the play button to play the video. And I don't like hearing my voice. So you can watch the video and respond to it here and with a video if you want. You can see any peer reviews that I did. So it would probably just have the names of the students that I reviewed so you can see that they were done. And then you just kind of, if it's a percentage, you just kind of click in the score. But if it's a rubric, I believe it just kind of comes up. I don't have this one set up as a rubric, so I don't think I can show it, but it would come up here. So you can click on it and it's like an interactive rubric. So it would just kind of add up the score and that would be the score for your student. So not too bad. You do have to click on the Bongo assignment to get in here, but then you just click on the name of someone who needs evaluation and then you can assign a score. And once you're done with the score here, so if I gave myself a 97, I can save and publish, and then the student can see that as well. So if I go back to my assignments here, if I go back into the assignment, I can then see that the student is evaluated and it is published. So I published one score, so now that student can see the score. So that's kind of how it works.
And then just go back to Moodle, if you can, because if you do an assignment in Moodle, it will have a grading system too. Does that do this too?
It should just carry over to the gradebook. So I have this video assignment, and because I'm not a student in this course, it's not showing it, but they go straight to the gradebook unless you say otherwise, and the deep linking enables the grades to carry over.
Oh, okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yep.
All right.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question. It probably is a very basic question, but we have to generate the assignment in Bongo for them. They cannot create a video and just send it to us using Bongo.
Right.
So it's on our part to create the assignment.
Yes. So you have to create like the space for them to submit a video and then you go from there. So it's kind of like setting up the submission place for them.
Okay.
But you just do it once. You don't do it for everyone.
Yeah,
Right.
you just do it once and everyone can access it. But if you're doing multiple assignments, you will have to make multiple assignments.
We're going to be
But yeah.
doing 2 at least.
Okay.
There'll
Yeah,
be
then
2
you can set up,
videos.
yeah, you can set up those 2 ahead of time. And you can just say, here's the first one, and they can go in and submit. You can make the due date whenever it is. And then you can have the other one up with a different due date for later in the semester. And students are usually pretty good about seeing those due dates and just, you know, waiting till it's time. So yeah, you can set them both up right now if you wanted to, and they could be exactly the same, but you know, it's just 2 separate places for 2 separate videos.
Can we just can view the video? We don't have to create a rubric. We can use our hard copy rubric that we already have to grade it. All we have to do, all we can do is just view the video and then do everything the way we were always doing it.
Exactly, yeah. It's
So
just
you will
creating a place.
have a grade. Well, do we have to select percentage?
Unless you're using a rubric, I would say go with percentage just because you can type in, you know, the 0 to 100 score.
Okay.
And then you don't have to base it off a rubric, or you can do your hard copy rubric and then translate that to a percentage to put in Bongo if you want to do that. It's completely up to you if you're using the gradebook or not. And if you're not, don't worry about it. It's kind of how it goes. Are there any other questions?
For the due date,
Mm-hmm.
can it be a span like due between October 1st and 8th, or does it have to be a specific date?
I believe it has to be a specific date, but you can say, like in the instructions, it's due between October 1st and 8th, but then the due date can be the 8th. So that's the possible last day it could be due.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
an option. Mm-hmm.
So in some sense, this is a convenient collection point, so to speak. You were saying before how the student might use a phone or a laptop or whatever to record the video.
Right.
Then that would be loaded onto this. Or technically the student could send the video directly to me from,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, it depends on what you want. If you are using Moodle and you want to be like, you want to keep it centralized, then I think Bongo is the best option.
Right.
And it's also great because when they record in Bongo, it doesn't save that to their phone. So it doesn't take up any space, doesn't save that to their laptops, because videos can be kind of big. But if
Right.
you'd rather them just submit it to your email, like send a link or something, that's an option too. But this is
So-
just an option.
Yeah, this might mitigate the problem of the, like you said, the large files that would be sent.
Right.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
I think that's exactly what this is for, because those files can get pretty large.
Yeah, they
And
do.
sometimes they're hard to send in an email too.
Yes, I've had that experience.
Yeah, I think we've all been there at least once this past semester.
How do we access your recorded recording of this session?
Oh, yeah, I will actually download it once it's done processing, and I'll upload it to YouTube or something and send the link out to all of you.
All right. Okay.
So
Great.
you'll all get it. Yeah. But are there any other questions about the process or anything like that?
So we should include when they are finished uploading, or when they're uploading, directions to add, wait, submit, right? That they have to know that they have to wait until it's processed.
Yeah, that would be best to let them know ahead of time so they're not confused. Some of them are probably already using Bongo in other classes, but if they're not, it's good to let them know that there is a waiting period. And it could be anywhere up to an hour. So it's definitely something that I wouldn't leave till last minute. And, you know, I'm sure they'll do what they want to, but still, I would recommend advising them against, you know, doing it last minute just because of that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions or concerns or comments? If not, I can stop sharing and then stop the recording and let you guys take over. I don't want to take up any more of your time. It's already been almost an hour. I didn't realize. But
It went by rapidly.
It did.
yo, I'm
Very
glad.
Yeah, I apologize for being late. For some reason, I thought it was 2.
Oh, that's okay. No worries.
I was here at 1. I was here at 12:30, and I said, no, I think it said 1. So then I went and I did something.
That is quite all right.
That was very nicely presented.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I appreciate it.
We'll have to go back and review it though. Thank you.
Oh yeah, of course. I'll stop the recording.